Hey everyone, welcome. We're so glad you're joining us today. My name is Carrie Stober, and we'll be getting started here in just a few minutes. We're giving away some prizes during today's episode, so please be sure to comment in the chat where you're watching from and stay active because you do need to be present to win. And we're going to put a URL up on the screen in just a moment so you can head over to that chat because that is where we will be pulling the winners from. Stick around for today's conversation with Christine Lashley. It's going to be a great one. And if you happen to have any tech issues or anything like that, try refreshing and you'll also get a replay at the end of today's session. So hang in there and we will see you guys soon. everyone, welcome. So glad you could join us. Sorry about that tech glitch there. You never know when those little gremlins are going to get into the internet or whatever we're trying to use. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carrie Stober. I have been with Streamline for 14 years now, although it feels like I've been here my entire life. For those of you who are new to us, Streamline is the publisher of several magazines, newsletters, art event, conventions, retreats, as well as art instructional courses. And you can find out about everything we do at streamlinepublishing.com/art. There's a lot that we do for artists because we love artists and we love art. A little housekeeping note for everyone: if you experience any technical issues like we just did, try refreshing your browser. That should fix things 99% of the time. It didn't in our case, but it could for you. And if you still continue to have issues, we do have a replay that you'll be getting in your email later today. So be sure to take a look out for that. And I like to do giveaways, so why don't we start this off with giveaways, even though we're running a little bit behind here. Thanks for putting up with us. If you have not already commented in the chat where you're watching from, please put a comment in there where you're watching from, and we are going to pick some winners. And if I call your name, I want you to type "I'm here" in the chat, and then you're going to send me an email, winner@streamlinepublishing.com. That's on the screen there. And we want you to send us an email so that we can get you access to your amazing prizes. And I didn't grab it from my desk, so hold on just one second, because it is going to be awesome. So the first thing I have is an easel brush clip, which I realize is on my easel outside, so I can't show you that, but we do have a slide we're going to show you, and it is great. It clips on to your easel, whether you're inside, you're outside, it doesn't matter. It clips on, and you are able to put your brushes in there. I have mine clipped onto my pastel backing board normally, and I keep my value specs in there as well as any blenders that I'm using, sticks and things like that. So they're very handy to have. So the very first person that's going to win one of our easel brush clips is Sally Ann Wilson. Congratulations, Sally Ann Wilson. You are the proud new owner of an easel brush clip. Go ahead and send me an email and we'll get that sent to you. And the next thing that I want to give away is a pair of value specs. And these I do have handy. I have several pairs of these. I love these. Eric invented these. You know, that you've seen a lot of things throughout the years. You know, you get to hold up pieces of red cellophane, things like that. These are very handy because you get to use them hands-free. Makes it awesome. I use them outside in plein air. I also love using them, especially to reorganize my pastel box. A lot of people, you know, will take photos and then convert it to black and white. This just makes it quick and easy. Pop these on and all you see are the values. It takes away everything else. So we're going to give away a pair of these, and that lucky winner is Laura Lee Salter. Laura Lee Salter from Florida. You are getting a pair of value specs. So send me an email so we can get that for you. And our final giveaway this morning, we still have more, so stay tuned. But our final one for the start of our show is actually a video from our artist today, Christine Lashley. This is her Vibrant Landscapes video. Such a great video, and I love that painting so much. So I'm going to pick one more name here, and it is Jennifer Banks from Michigan. Congratulations, Jennifer. You are going to get a copy of Christine's video, Vibrant Landscapes. Congratulations, everyone. And if you stick with us through the rest of the show, we have some more giveaways towards the end after we do our Q&A with Christine at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. And reminder, just tech issues, anything like that, refresh. That usually will fix things. If it's buffering or freezing, it could be your internet connection. So you will get a replay later today. So check your inbox for that. So let's get into today. Welcome to 5 Steps to Break Free of Creative Ruts with Christine Lashley. So excited she was able to join us today. And today's event is going to be hosted by Eric Rhoads. Most of you probably know him, but we've had a lot of people sign up who might not. He is the founder of Streamline Publishing, the only artist-owned art magazine. He has over 2 decades experience in publishing. He started Plein Air Magazine and then later Fine Art Connoisseur. And then today we also have multiple art newsletters, including Inside Art, Pastel Today, Realism Today, Fine Art Today, Plein Air Today, and American Watercolor. So a little something for everybody there. He is the host of the Plein Air Convention, as well as our artist retreats like Fall Color Week this fall in Acadia National Park, and Paint Adirondacks and Winter Art Escape in Florida, where it's nice and warm. And we also have multiple virtual online art conferences that we host throughout the year. Gouache Live coming up in August, Pastel Live, Watercolor Live, Realism, and Plein Air Live, and so many more coming up. Always we're doing something. We like to stay busy. You may have also seen Eric on his YouTube show, his Daily Art School Live. which he started during the pandemic. Millions have discovered art techniques from the show, and many have become artists themselves. He does it every weekday on YouTube at noon Eastern, and you can find that by searching at Art School Live on YouTube. Eric is passionate about making art. He is passionate about artists. He is a landscape painter, he's a portrait painter, and he's been doing that for almost 3 decades. And he's got artwork in 3 galleries. He's on Instagram. If you want to follow him, he's at Eric Rhoads. When he tried to learn how to paint, started about 30 years ago, he was looking for art instruction videos, had a rough time with those, couldn't quite find something that worked for him. So he actually launched painttube.tv. That is where we have over 700 art instruction courses from artists all over the world, lots of master artists that have come to record instruction courses with us. He is also the author of 2 best-selling books, Make More Money Selling Your Art, and he has several art marketing courses on PaintTube. He's been featured in the New York Times, the LA Times, Chicago Tribune. He is just all over the place. And while that is a long, intimidating list of accomplishments, he is also very relatable. That is one thing I can say. I've loved working for Eric. I like to say that there are 2 Erics. There's business Eric, that all of you get to see, the front-facing video Eric, the on-screen happy, let's get going, let's paint Eric. And then there's also just Eric, who is still all of those things, but he's also, he cares so deeply. He's kind, he's generous, he's easy to talk to, he's very relatable. And it's just a pleasure to get to work for him and to work for this company that really cares about artists and about art, and really keeping this movement going forward, getting more plein air painters, introducing more people to art, because art just makes people happy, and happy people make a better world. So with all of that, let's bring in Eric Rhoads.
So which one should I be today?
You can be whichever one you want.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Everybody give props to Carrie. She's been, like she said, what'd you say, 14 years?
14 and a half.
14 and a half years. And Carrie started out, I think, as an assistant to the sales department 14 and a half years ago. And now she's like practically running the whole business. And before long, she will be. It's just a matter of time. And when I'm long gone, you'll still have to deal with Carrie. So anyway, give her thumbs up and applause. Go into the chat, say something nice about Carrie, because we have lots of nice things to say around here about her. Well, today we're doing 5 steps of break-free creative ruts with Christine Lashley. Every time we do one of these special broadcasts, my goal is to kind of over-deliver and to give you more than you expect. And today we're going to try to do that for you. We're going to chat with Christine about overcoming creative blocks. And we all have them. I have them. We all have them. I recently also learned that she's been doing some interesting things in a new way. She teaches color and light. I'm anxious to hear about that. And I'm even going to show you some stuff that I think is going to help you too. Carrie mentioned my background briefly. I don't want to get into a lot of that because most of you know it. You've heard it. But I wanted to learn to paint. And I couldn't draw a stick figure. I really, literally couldn't. I had no talent. And I had some really horrible experiences trying to learn painting. Some very well-meaning people said some very bad things to me, like, you should never be an artist. You should give up painting. I mean, you think about that. That's horrible stuff to say to somebody. And I bet some of you, if you're in the chat, if you've ever heard something like that, go ahead and say it. And, maybe I'm a slow learner. I know I'm a slow learner, but, I eventually got there. But I didn't get there because of them. I got there because of somebody else. But, we're all pretty insecure about that stuff. And so I gave up when I heard that. And then I thought, well, I'll try again. And then I heard it again. Then I had a couple other bad experiences with instructors, and I gave up again and again. It's so important that if you're teaching art, that you're positive, that you're finding something to be encouraging about. Somebody once said, you do a poop sandwich. If you have to give a critique with poop, you put the poop in the middle between the 2 nice things. And I know I can't say the real word. Anyway, I finally found somebody who figured it out. His name is Jack Jackson. He taught me how to open my eyes and how to learn and how to do art. And it changed my life. I literally never really paid much attention to art. I liked it before, but after that, it changed my life. And because of him, I've devoted my entire life to helping other people embrace art and know the right way to learn it, because there are right ways and there are wrong ways. And unfortunately, a lot of well-meaning people have the wrong ways. And a lot of us, I have a lot of friends who gave it up because they just couldn't get there, or they weren't inspired, or they were asked to do things that just they couldn't understand why they were asked to do them. I had a friend that gave up because she was asked to do spheres. And spheres are really important because everything's basically a cone or a ball or a tube. And yet, you start out that way, it's kind of boring. It's like when I took piano lessons when I was a kid, I didn't want to do 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 do. I wanted to play a song. So anyway, the reason we're here today is because droves of people are always asking me how to get out of creative ruts. If you're not feeling it, you're not inspired, and you're not painting or you're not drawing, and it's going to reflect in your work. I have something that I've been painting for 2 years, and it's become drudgery, and it shows in my painting. And it's like awful. So I just scraped it down, covered it up, and started over because I just wasn't into it. So there is a harsh reality. Most of the thousands of people who are watching today, who could be brilliant painters, probably never will be, because they don't understand the importance of breaking out of ruts and pushing themselves to a higher level. I had on my art school live today, I had a school teacher on today, and she was talking, art teacher, and she was talking about how the students, when they're struggling, when they're having their biggest pain, and you've been there, right? You're struggling, you're having a lot of pain, and it's like, oh, this is hard. I was telling her about my experience at Florence Academy and how it got really hard for me. And I almost quit. And then my wife said, no, you got to power through no matter what. And I did. And then it's like breakthrough. But when it gets hard, that's when the breakthroughs come. So we want you to have breakthroughs. Anybody ever experienced that? You guys can communicate in the chat and tell me if you've had breakthroughs. Go into the comments. Do you guys want to break your ruts? If you do, go in there and tell me that. No matter what we present today, some of you are still going to ignore what we're going to tell you, even though it's proven to work. And so I encourage you to pay close attention. But here's a little secret. You've got to want it. You've got to be sick and tired enough of not being good enough that you're willing to do, as Christine says, or as we say, even if you think you have a better way. So anybody sick of it? Go into the chat. Sick of it? Anybody willing to try? Go into the chat. Want to see your comments. So if you're one of those people who won't ever get to where you want to be, please know it's not your fault. Our society has the stupid, can I say that? Stupid myth that artists are born with talent, and there's nothing further from the truth. I'm sure probably there's a savant here and there, but the reality is it's like saying brain surgeons are born with talent or cooks are born with talent. No, they learned a process. They went to school. They struggled a lot. They went through the process of learning. And, the goal is to help you get through that process of learning and help you come through on the other side without quitting. And I know a lot of you have quit. I know I quit. So also many believe painting technique is enough, and that you do need technique. You do need instruction. You do need practice, but you also need to understand how to get out of these creative ruts. And that's what we're going to do today. And, we've all heard the story, practice makes perfect. Anybody ever heard that? It's not true. Perfect practice makes perfect. But practice, if you're practicing something that, is a bad habit, if, I took up golf, developed bad habits. I took some lessons, and the guy said, you got to drop these bad habits. You got to overcome those. And it was hard for me. But perfect practice is what makes perfect. So today we're going to show you how to overcome your frustrations, take yourself as far as you can. Dream. It's not easy. I would never tell you it's easy, but it is simple. Your life can look a lot different than it does even a month from now, right? So I'm just curious, go into the comments. What would your dream scenario be as an artist? Would you want to travel the world to paint? I get to do that all the time. I love that. Would you want to see your work in a permanent collection of a museum? I got one, only one in a museum, but I got one in a museum. What about making enough money that you never have to worry about how to make ends meet or pay the rent? I mean, that's a good goal. Or you never tire of hearing the compliments. And that's what I learned is that, people always give you these well-meaning compliments of, oh, nice work or pretty colors. But it's when people are unsolicited saying, "Yeah, who did that painting? That's really good. Yeah, that I really like that." And then you say, "I did it," and they go, "You did that?" That's a nice feeling. Um, how many want to have other top masters like Christine Lashley look at your work and go, "That's really good. They respect your work," or have your name become a part of art history? A lot of you are going to do that. So today we're going to help you overcome those issues, reach your goals, and live the life that you dream of. So here's what our next hour is going to look like, and stick with it as much as you can. If you can't come back to the replays, I'm going to bring on Christine. She's been painting and teaching for a long, long time. She has work in galleries around the world, and we're going to reveal some of how you improve and speed up your growth as an artist. And I suggest you avoid all the distractions like going on the web or browsing or texting or, social media. That's a big giant hole you can fall into. Instead, take some notes, and we will send you a replay of the broadcast later, but it's better to be here live. That way you can get involved. You can ask questions. Sound like a plan? Now, I'm going to record this, and I'm going to turn it into most of it, maybe not all of it, into a plein air podcast for a future episode. So when I say welcome to the plein air podcast and I close it out with that, you'll know why I'm doing it. Okay. And I'll close the podcast part before Christine is done. I'm going to hold on to your questions. And then at the end, we're going to open up towards your questions. Remember, at the end, I'm going to give away some more prizes. And Carrie didn't mention what they are, but they're good ones. We're going to give away a ticket to Plein Air Live, our online conference that's coming up in August. And we're going to give away a seat to the Plein Air Convention, which is coming up in Zion National Park, St. George, Utah. And it's going to be spectacular. As a matter of fact, we've already sold out 2 hotels. We've never sold out hotels this early in history. So I wanted to introduce our guest today. Christine Lashley is award-winning. She's a contemporary impressionist. She paints a kind of visual magic from across the room. They grab you. Her landscapes are strikingly real. Step closer and they dissolve into these expressive, rich texture and marks, unexpected colors. And she's been doing this a long time. For over 30 years, she's been helping thousands of artists paint with more confidence and expression, making sophisticated ideas about color and light and design feel real clear and doable. She is a Plein Air magazine cover artist and the instructor behind the best-selling PaintTube TV courses, Paintings That Sparkle and Vibrant Landscapes. Please welcome Christine Lashley. Hey.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Eric. So glad
Thanks
to
for
be
hanging
here.
around. Sorry about the glitch.
No worries. I meditated on art. It was all good.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah,
Christine, today we're here to talk about creative ruts. How have you, before you figure this out, how have creative ruts kind of gotten in your way?
Yeah, I love that we're talking about this subject today, Eric. And I have to say, before I answer your question about me, I liked your introduction because that's really at the heart of what our discussion is going to be about. Because even though I'm going to be sharing my ideas, we're going to have a conversation. You shared your trials and tribulations, and that's really what this whole thing is about, is empowering people to make their own choices. They get to decide what feels right for them. And so I love that we're going to talk about that. In my case, I will share that I had a similar journey to what you're talking about. I experienced teachers that were, I mean, if you looked at it on paper, like what they did in class, you all go create, express yourself, and there was no structure. And I thought, well, why am I here to learn? Or some guy made me copy a fishing shack and I just hated every mark that I was making. And then he went over and fixed my drawing. And so I just had these moments when I was a kid where it was like I had this urge to create, but it just faced a brick wall when I tried to interface with either other people or instructors or learn something. So I think we have to acknowledge that that's going on. And I love that Streamline and PaintTube and the internet is enabling artists to have discussions and talk about these important concepts and normalize discomfort. That's what's going to be number one for my Get Out of Your Rut lecture today. So I
Well,
think
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
get into
start
that in a
there.
second. But, Christine, I think
Yeah.
there are more more great artists alive today than there have ever been in history. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons is what you mentioned, is the internet. I mean, you think about
Mhm.
this, we are able to teach people in the far corners of the world who otherwise would never have any access to anything. We're also able to showcase our work on places like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or
Mhm.
otherwise. And we can see things and see people who are doing amazing things. And it kind of pushes our limits. It says, you know, I need to do better. I can get better. And it's really a great time to be alive. I think because of the current plein air movement, which started probably about 30 years ago, the you know, the level of plein air painting is stronger than it's ever been. There are people like you, or people like Matt Smith or Don Demers or others who are just at levels that even the great plein air painters of the past barely reached. I mean, you know, maybe some of us aren't yet, you know, at the level of a Monet or something, or Van Gogh, but still the levels are super high. And I know that took a lot of work. What did you kind of have to go through? I'd like to hear just briefly about your journey. Once you started to got some lessons, when did you take it outside, and how did that change things for you?
Well, plein air has been really important for me. And early years, I just was messing around with art materials, and I love the feeling of the paint. And that translated into my future self, which is tactile, looking at the paint dripping. Even in those early years, that was my own learning experience, looking at nature and then understanding my materials. I just really got into that, and it was a hook. It made me want to keep creating. So that was probably my first experience of, it wasn't tied to outcome. I was just doing and being creative in the doing. The teaching and the interface with people, that was a bad path for me. I kind of found more exploration and fun in the early educational years, like in elementary school, by just being given supplies and creating. And so then later, I would say important things that fostered a development or love of my path, plein air, just all of that. It was kind of two things. I did have some good educational teachers, and some I studied with for a while. Others, it was just a brief time, but I thought, wow, that's a great teacher. I really learned something. I got outside my own head. I met a creative mind. That was incredible. And so that was great. And then I kind of stepped back a little and had a family. And so I thought, I guess it's not giving up, because I gave the family like a different chapter of my life. And I think in stepping back and just kind of regrouping, I then decided when the kids were older that, like you said before, I really, really want this. And so I was committed. I just thought, I have to follow this through and see where this goes. And so I really put myself out there, and I thought, I won't have goals for, being famous or something like that successful notion of what, like, and at the time I was thinking, wouldn't a New York gallery be great? Wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't that be great? And those misguided ideas of trophies or benchmarks, um, I guess now I have different benchmarks that I feel good about, but my life looks different. And I kind of owe it all to the kids and taking that pause and restepping or resetting my boundaries with my goals and where I wanted to go. And honestly, Eric, appreciating what I had.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think that makes a huge difference. The other thing that
Hmm.
I kind of heard you say, you didn't come right out and say it, is that you took the pressure off. Yeah, I don't know if you did or not, but it felt like
Yeah.
you were like approaching it with, "Hey, whatever happens, happens." Was that true, or did you put yourself under pressure?
Yeah, that's a good question
Because
because
you're a pretty driven person.
I think that's what we have to describe is the pressure points. Uh, be careful of what your goals are. Be careful of what you want. There is so much stimulation with the internet, and look what this person has and that person has. And that path of coveting what somebody else had was not useful. And I thought, let's appreciate what I do have. And so have a beautiful family, have a stable home life. I'm teaching classes in the evening, and adults want to listen to what I have to say, and we're all creating, and this is fun and this is good. So that was the platform that kind of launched my teaching. That was, gosh, almost 35 years ago. It's kind of hard to believe, but that's what it is. So pressure it can take many forms. And so this pressure to create or feeling like you should, I try to reframe that and be more describing what's going to make my best effort. How can you want to feel comfortable with like what you have at the time. And this could be artistically or just in general with, like I said, my home situation. So expanding on that, honestly, in teaching, I talk about it like find your ratio. I am maybe 30% hard work, and I know what I need to work on. And then the rest is fun. So art could be fun. And that's the type of pressure I would say, like that package that
Yes.
is a way forward.
So don't compare yourself to other people. And
Yeah, that's a
because
huge
you talked
pitfall.
about that, that's such a curse. You get on
Yeah.
social media, and next thing you know, it's like I can't do that. And the other thing I think we have to do is we have to watch what we put into our heads. Our self-talk, our head trash.
Yes,
Do
be
you ever
careful
struggle
of
with
who
that?
you let influence you. You have to be careful of who you let influence you. I mean, even as a small child, I knew that in those terrible art classes. It sounds really radical to say those were bad teachers. I'm sure they were doing the best job, and other kids were probably just as happy kind of having free unscripted time. But I really wanted to learn how, at the time when I was a kid, like when I was 5 or 10, I was like, I know, but how do you draw a hand coming at you? How would you draw a foot? And like my attempts looked so terrible. And people would look over my shoulder and say, wow, that's really good. Wow, you drew that? That's really great. But that's a double-edged sword, because in my head, I knew that wasn't very good. And there were things that I could see that were wrong with that. But Eric, I didn't have the tools at the time to know the way forward. I didn't have the structure and the learning language to self-assess the problem and find ways to move forward with that. And
It's interesting you
maybe in
talk
the
about.
end,
Go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I
No,
was
you
just
go
going to
ahead.
say, maybe in the end, I mean, how many of my paintings have a hand coming forward? Like none of them. So in the end, that didn't really matter. I was chasing the
Oh,
wrong thing, but at the time, I really wanted to know about that. So it's kind of funny.
well, there's still time. I
Yeah,
I
right.
am I'm teaching kids this summer, ages 8 to 14. And I did our first class a couple of days ago. And, it's that fine line, because you want to give them that encouragement, but you
Mhm.
also want to kind of push them to get beyond what they know. And what I learned at Florence Academy was something that was very helpful. And I was employing that. And I'm sure you do this all the time, but I didn't know it. And that is, they would never give me any answers. They would only ask me the questions. And so they'd walk up to my
Mm.
canvas, and they'd say, how do you think you're doing? And I'd say, I think I'm doing great. And they said, well, do you think there's anything that might need some work? And I think, no, I think it's good. They said, well, take another look, just check it again. And they'd say, yeah, I think maybe the arm's a little long. Well, is the arm a little long, or could it be something else? And it's like,
Are you
well,
are
what
you
else could
sure
it
you weren't
be?
in
And it's like,
therapy?
oh, the neck is in the wrong place. And so what they did is they helped you come to the conclusion yourself. So you were thinking it through on your own, training yourself to think it through. And
Uh-huh.
that's what I was doing to the kids, because you want to go up and say, hey, you're doing a really good job. That's great. but what does it need? How do you feel about it? Is there anything that's you're struggling with? And that way you're kind of engaging them to get to the next level, which I thought was good. Okay, well,
Yeah, I think that's great.
we should get into the steps that you've come up with to break free of creative ruts. Why don't we let's go through one at a time, and then we'll kind of
Okay.
expand. So what's your first one?
Well, basically, it's let's not be afraid of failure. And that takes many shapes and forms. I think our previous conversation alluded to that, but we have to define what that is. When you have a bad painting, is that the end of everything? Is it a scrape down, a bad moment? You know, even like if sales don't happen at your opening, gallery rejects you, you don't get into a competition that you had hoped to get into, somebody else got the award if you ended up getting into that competition. Like what are these failures? And I don't want to be like, you know, all happy words. Like, how can we learn from that? But failure is a way to learn more about yourself. And actually, those uh, teachers that didn't resonate with how I wanted to learn, in fact, taught me a valuable lesson. So we could look at that teaching moment that for me landed and failed when I was young. I learned different ways that when somebody asked me to teach a class, I learned how I didn't want to teach. And so I did the opposite of what had happened in that experience. And that was one of the first times where I kind of learned and pivoted my experience and my way forward. It's like learning in reverse. So if you had a failure, you could say, let's say, for example, we could apply this for mediums. I've tried a lot with pastel. I tried a lot with drawing. It's not like it's a bad medium, but for me, it was a failure because I didn't like the tactile nature of that. I feel much more comfortable with fluid paint. And so that's a little bit less threatening, like a bad painting. Because if you talk about a bad painting, people react and there's a lot to say. But now that we've said bad painting, yes, bad paintings happen and you scrape and restate, and there's different ways to pivot around that. And maybe the composition wasn't good. So if you become kind of objective about that and don't classify it as a failure, then what you could do is learn from that. And so there, we've said it. You can
So
learn
you're
from your failures.
so you're reframing failure as
Mhm.
something that's valuable to you, which I think is really a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, I don't remember anybody ever telling me that, you know, failure was actually a good thing, that as soon as you fail, you're getting closer to the end result. But once I adopted that sense that, you know, I don't want to fail, but if I do fail, look at it as a positive, and I think it makes a big difference. So
It
what's
does.
your
And yeah.
what's your number two?
Yeah, so number two is I plan for an event. I seek that out. I seek out an event that will be stressful, that is pushing my edge. I at one point I was afraid of speaking in public, and I was asked to be the head of an art organization, and they're like, "Oh, it's such an easy job." I mean, you know, well, you have to give an acceptance speech. And I thought, oh, I better reject this. I can't do it. And then I thought, well, what's the worst that could happen? You know, maybe this is a goal I could work towards and I could practice. And so I did, and that helped me with my teaching. And there's been other things that I've done. It's art wise, you can push yourself towards a goal, and just other ways you can push yourself towards the goal. So public speaking does have an overlap in the art world. And so that would be one example. And then another example would be saying yes to doing a show, saying yes to doing this type of talk, putting out your ideas. And this could be for those who are just learning. Some of my first speaking engagements were volunteer at a community center, teaching school kids, helping them. So those types of engagements can have kind of a lower threshold of, oh gosh, can I do this? And then also just planning for it through the year. You know, don't say yes and then you have to deliver tomorrow. plan for it so that you can look at your calendar and set yourself mini goals and practice, or do your paintings for your solo show over the course of a year, instead of saying, sure, I'll give you a solo show with a month's time. I mean, that's not really an achievable goal, even though we'd all like to be able to do that.
At least not with good paintings.
Yes, I think this avoidance of exactly. I think this avoidance of, oh, but I can't do that. There's all types of happy phrases out there that are like, plan for your, dress for success, dress for the job that you want. So paint for the art event that you want to achieve, I guess we could say. And yeah, just kind of forward think that way. Believe that you could do it.
I think that's really, really a good one. It just resonates with me so much. I've had so many times in my life like that, where I don't want to do it, I can't do it, and somebody says, just suck it up and do it anyway. And you do. And then it turns out you grow from it and you accomplish it. I think that's really a good one.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said no to my first teaching job. I was like, no, I will not do that. No.
Really?
I said yes to the volunteer position, but I refused to teach. And I appreciate this group because they begged me. They're like, finally they were just like, look, we're old friends. We kind of like your work. Our teacher is leaving, and all we need is we need a big table and somebody to prepare a lesson. And then I thought back to those teachers that told me to copy magazines in the corner by myself. And I was like, well, I could do a better job than that. So I said yes.
Yeah. I got a call
Yeah.
a couple summers ago, and they had somebody drop out of doing a class, a demo, and at one of these plein air events. And they called me and they said, we need you to not only step in and judge, which I have no problem with because I do that all the time. And they said, but we need you to teach a class for 5 days or 4 days. And I'm like, nope, never done it, never gonna do it. And I said no. And I got home, I told my wife, she said, you call them right back and you tell them you'll do it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. She said, you do that. And she was right. And it turned out fine. But, our brains play these games in our heads. We just got to control that.
That's right,
So
Eric. 100%. Yeah.
What's your number
Yeah.
3?
Okay. So number 3 is just be weird, be a nerd. If you are so into water lilies that that's all you want to paint for a whole year, then I fully support that. And even if the world doesn't understand what you're doing and you're near people around you question what you're doing, it's just okay to go out on that limb. Just go down that road, see where the journey goes. I think some of the most creative minds and unique voices in the art world are not by copying what other people are doing and through mimicking. It's finding your path through your things that you're passionate about. The best art is going to be art that grabs the viewer and says, welcome into my world. This is where my passion is. And that just hits the viewer like a tidal wave. And these are the ones that through time we covet seeing these paintings in person because and they can even be a pilgrimage. So it's more than just get out of a creative rut. I mean, I think we're getting to the heart of what is good art and to make sure we stay on this track. So leaning into your weird is just a funny way of describing to find your passion and what you really want to say as an artist. And it leads to developing your own style.
There's a little bit too much of supposed to,
Oh, yeah.
you're supposed to paint like this. You're supposed to make all your landscapes just, a lot of ugly green. And if you go to a lot of events, and I do, and you do, you see a lot of everything that blends into everything else. And then you'll see somebody who leaps off the page and everybody's drawn to that artist because, and you're one of those, the color, the unique way of approaching things, the perspective. I would have never thought to paint that way. And that's because you leaned into your weird.
I did. I think part of it is because my vision is kind of strange. Um, some people are like, oh, looks like you painted that without your glasses. And I'm like, yeah, I start a lot of my paintings without my glasses. And I learned later the science behind that, where I, if I look into shadows, first of all, I'm not squinting. When they say simplify to squint, I don't have to squint to simplify because I have blurry vision. And it keeps the color open and available to my eyes, because squinting diminishes the color. It reduces the clarity. So anyway, that was a strange thing I learned. I was lying on the ground in Singapore without my glasses, looking at all the lights, and they were like these big halos because they have lights lighting up all the trees. And I just was like, wow, this. And I put on my glasses and there were little tiny points of light. And I took my glasses off and there were all these like balloons of and halos of light. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that's how I see. Like, this is a flaw in my physiology, but I'm capturing it on canvas and it seems to resonate with people. So that's good and makes me happy.
I had never really thought about that. When you do lose color when you squint.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
All
a
right.
new thing to try, Eric. Embrace
Yeah.
your vision flaws. They can
Well,
help you out.
my problem is that I have perfect vision
Oh, woe
without
is you.
glasses. So it's a
Well,
curse and a blessing, I guess.
yeah, there you go. So
Yeah.
you're going to take a different path, and that's okay.
Well, yeah, it just gave me an idea for a new product. So
Oh, okay. I want to cut. Thanks very much.
of course you do. Okay, what else?
Okay, well, 4 is a little bit touching on conventional wisdom, which is be humble and learn. I think you mentioned that in your introduction, that there's really amazing artists out there, and you set your ego aside and you learn things, and also mix it up. This could be a different medium. This could be travel, just to be stimulating and change your environment. So it could be changing materials, changing environment. I talked about changing my mental outlook on different things. So even though we're talking about different points, they're all interrelated. And then really tap into what is resonating with you. So all of this kind of folds together in a package that could be a path forward. And we're talking about a creative rut here. So, and also we're saying, don't let anybody tell you what to do. So let's bear in mind, this is a punch list to inspire. And don't forget, you can learn in reverse. If I've said 2 or 3 things that you're like, well, I've heard that before, it didn't work for me. I mean, that's great. But perhaps there's one thing that you're like, well, hey, that's a possible avenue. I could try that. So just that became an important thing for me when I was starting to learn from other creatives, where I kind of came with this baggage of, I'm not going to learn anything. It's not going to be good. This has never worked for me in the past. And then I tried really hard after that reset we talked about. I just thought, I'm a clean slate. I'm nobody in the back seat. I'm just here to learn. I'm a fly on the wall. I'm just here to do the workshop and see what I can learn. And then I just had a great time because there were just very low expectations and I was fully present and I was ready. At that time, I was ready to take in the information and really learn. Plus, it was a really good teacher. So there's that.
I think there's 2 things that happen at workshops. I see it all the time. It's one is performing for the teacher. Let's show how good we really are. And sometimes that backfires because you got to make some mistakes. You got to struggle through it. But a lot of people just want to show off. Like I'll show that person that I can do this, but in my own way. And then they're not letting go of themselves. They're not trying what the teacher is doing. The other thing that happens is a lot of people attend workshops and then they don't do any of the work. They're just there to have fun and paint. They don't try anything new. And I think it's so important to just get out there and, get out of your comfort zone and try something that somebody's trying to show you, and then just keep doing it for a while. When we go to the plein air convention, we have, as you know, we have lessons in the mornings, and then we go out and paint in the afternoon. And we always tell people, try something that you learned today on stage, somebody teaching you, try to do that. Don't go back and just do your normal thing. Try to, experiment, because that's where you're going to learn. So I think it's helpful.
Yeah, Eric, performance and the whole idea of performance painting, to repeat the same thing. That's what you were talking about before, that practice doesn't necessarily make perfect, because if you're always performing all of the things that you know and feeling really successful about that, that goes back to my prior tip, to be humble and realize that there's always something that could be improved, always something that you can learn. And then you get into mindful practice and learning to be a better artist. So I agree with you that those problems are apparent at a workshop, and it's to get the best work, you have to do the work. And that's actually my next tip for everybody who's here today. And thank you for attending, by the way. Really appreciate that. So it's basically do the work, show up, carve out time. Inspiration isn't just going to be given to you. You have to go through the motions. Some days you're not going to feel like creating. And often I think people are waiting for, like, what's the right brush? What's the right equipment? Somebody is going to ask, do I need to know how to color mix? Another person says, don't I need a drawing course first? You don't need any of that stuff. You just need to get out your stuff and start playing. You need maybe somebody to say, I give you permission to be a creative. You could play. That's the joy that we see when kids create. And Eric, you mentioned teaching 8 to 12-year-olds. I volunteered at my kids' school to help with the art room. They needed, it was anything from help me pass out scissors to maybe walk around for the kids. And you can learn a lot from visiting a classroom and seeing kids at different ages create, because in the beginning, they are just so motivated. And then over time, there's different touch points in people's lives where maybe somebody questioned the color, or it could be a casual comment about the sky of a particular painting. And then sure, it maybe lands differently with one person. Teacher didn't like my sky, or, oh, teacher really loved my sky, thought it was the best one ever. And so, all of this is in the mix. And then we enter into adulthood where we have compressed time and we have more performance than ever, kind of like anxiety riding on our shoulders. And we really have to just shove all of that, your past history, all of that anxiety. It's hard, but you have to put it aside, because you can think of creative time as it's just that, pushing paint, squish, that felt really good. Look what I did, a couple of marks on the page. You don't have to show it to anybody. It could just be there for you. And you talked about goals to have, which is really great, and what success might look like. It's pretty interesting that whatever note you write yourself early in the journey, it will probably look different in 10 years anyway. So just do the work, be present, and things will happen.
Yeah, I would imagine if there's a psychiatrist or psychologist watching, they run into this all the time, that, we have things that we hold on to from literally from our childhoods that are blocking us, because, we have somebody said something way back then, when you were a hurting little kid, and now you're not, but it's still in there, and you got to overcome that stuff. I think,
Yeah,
I
and
write,
speaking of,
go ahead.
oh, well, I'm just going to jump in and say, speaking of psychology, this is really important because procrastination is tied to doing the work. And so procrastination is super sneaky that way. So you can have the anxiety or the past baggage, as it were. But also procrastination can be tied to, do I have the right stuff? Wait, I need to learn a little bit more. And then painting doesn't happen. So you do check in with yourself about what procrastination looks like, and you might be surprised.
Yeah, I live it. I live it all the time. I have been writing a Sunday morning blog for 10 years. Every Sunday, very rarely skip a Sunday. And sometimes I get up on in the morning and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to write about, but I have to do it. I have to show up. And so I just start writing. And whatever I start writing is never what it ends up at. But I think the same thing is you just start painting. It just throw something on the canvas and just
Mhm.
get there. And next thing you know, your head will get into it. And next thing you know, it'll turn into something
That's
that
right.
works. And so I think that point is really, really important. Just getting out there and trying things. I found that pushing myself into different mediums has been helpful. Not
Interesting.
necessarily because I want to become one of those other mediums, but because we do all these online events like Plein Air Live and Watercolor Live and all that stuff, I felt the need to at least when I go on host it to at least have experienced it, right? We all did watercolor when we were in fourth grade, but I started paying attention to those and learning from those and thinking, well, I better try that. And then I'd try it. And I found that I would learn techniques that would inform other styles. For instance, I was painting in watercolor
Mhm.
and I was watching this watercolor artist on Watercolor Live, and he was spraying paint through a straw or something. And I thought that would work. I had this one problem I was trying to solve. I was painting this farm and I needed some looked like blossoms on the plants at the base, in the front. I thought, I wonder if that would work with oil paint. So I got some oil paint and I mixed it up with some oil, some color, and I put it in a thing and I blew it out. And it landed perfectly. And it was like, that was it. That was perfect. And so it got me reinvigorated about what I was doing. So I think that these things, one thing informs the other.
I agree. I think that the different mediums can work together, and it's stimulating to see artists that are working in multiple mediums and how that looks. Sculpture and oil, watercolor, sketches, all of that. So to look at
Yeah.
somebody else's work and see how that overlaps as well. I mean, uh, that's kind of woven into my points. I've neglected to mention that the stimulation of looking at other artists' work, you and I counseled against judging yourself in accordance with other people, especially not consuming so much social media that you're always comparing yourself. But if you look at other artists, artists of the past or current artists, especially if you look at their half finished work or when they work in multiple mediums, that could be a really important tool to use to maybe uncover a different avenue that you want to try,
Absolutely.
including that different medium. Yeah.
Well, we have a training platform called Chroma. Right now, we have got a limited number of people in there. We're not trying to grow it right now, and we are doing master copies because we can tell that when you copy a master copy, you're going to see something. I did a master copy one time, and just one little flick of the wrist, one little change made the sitter in the portrait look thin versus looking heavy. And so little things like that you get by copying masters. So I think that's good too.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: I'm going to add a bonus point for you, and I want to ask you if this is it. Do you ever find that just going outdoors kind of gets you out of your rut?
Oh, absolutely. And painting with friends. Let's toss that in there too. So painting by yourself outdoors and painting with friends, I would say, is a great way to, we could learn all the rules we want and have a checklist of I won't do this, I am working on this. And then plein air is back to nature, which is at the heart of usually what a landscape painter is trying to capture. And Mother Nature has all the answers. We could just make a ghost copy of that. And if you're outdoors, channeling the excitement that you had outdoors and making it your own with your own style, your own voice. Yeah, that's the ultimate, Eric.
You can
Definitely
feel it.
worth adding to the list.
I probably told you this story, Christine, but Nikolai Dubovik, who's the great Russian master from the Sarakov Institute in Moscow, came to visit me here in the Adirondacks. And he walked into my studio, and I had a translator because he didn't speak English. But he went, that, and that. He pointed to 5 or 6 paintings. And I said to the translator, what is he trying to say? He said, I can tell you did those paintings outside. The others were done from photographs. I'm like, how did he know? But people can tell. And
Oh, yeah.
that's the training that getting outdoors changes you. I know you've seen it. I had a friend, he's a pretty well-known painter, but he never painted outdoors. And very successful painter. I said, why don't you go out painting with me? He said, no, I don't ever want to do that. Bugs, light, all that stuff. I said, just go with me. And so he went with me. And he said, I kind of like this. And we had a lot of fun. So we started going out every week. And about 10 or 12 weeks later, his work changed. And the paintings that he was doing from photographs in his studio changed. And what I realized is that he had learned the characteristics of being outdoors. And so when he didn't see the light glowing on his photograph, he still could make it glow because he had enough practice going outdoors and painting.
I think that's really well said for an example of finding your own path. So that individual had decided he had a lot to learn from the studio environment. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. And then
No.
deciding that I'm going to try this whole plein air thing. A friend invited me, and hey, he was an experimental individual and said, yeah. And then, so he adopted that. That's what we're talking about today, is a buffet of ideas, and you pick what you want. Oh, speaking of visual ideas, we're all visually intrigued individuals here, giving the presentation and looking at the presentation. So I do believe the team has a couple of visuals as a treat. I thought it would be really cool. Early on, a huge for me was understanding where somebody had painted, whether it was artists of the past, like even visiting Venice, and then like, whoa, Sargent painted there. How cool is that? So I have some photos and some painting combinations that I thought would be fun to show people. I painted here on location in Giverny, which sadly you can't do anymore. And so this kind of humble watercolor field study where I am going out on a limb, no darks, even though the photo of the foliage looks really dark. I used mostly that watercolor and my imagination to create the oil on the right. And that was a big oil painting, a 36 by 36. So
That's
that would be
beautiful.
a direct, thank you. That was a direct example of how, and also visiting a stimulating place, because yes, I wanted to paint water lilies. I love Monet's work, and going to his garden kind of gave me that push of, I'm going to try this subject matter. Why don't I see what I could do with this?
Yeah. Wow.
And this was,
Wow.
yeah. Well, this was a plein air event in Atlanta, and I started, actually the first version had that white car, and then I kind of regrouped. I didn't even show it at the event because I wasn't happy with the interim stage. And then I brought it back and I put away the photo reference, and I scraped out that white car because I was like, who wants the rear end of a white car looking them in the face? I don't want that. And so I've focused in on that like V shape of the sky, that channel of the sky. And I really pushed the twilight aspect of the scene because I had painted for 2 or 3 hours, Eric. I was able to really remember what it felt like to be there. So I left behind the literal and I entered into this different state where I just kind of kept going on the painting. And the painting was bad, and the painting was bad, and the painting was really bad. And then I was like, I don't care. And I was just like whacking away at it because there was nothing left to lose, right? And so all of a sudden I looked at it and I'm like, well, dang, I really like that painting. That's great. So
So,
that's a
so
fun
you didn't
example for
paint
me to
out there
see.
at night. You just made up all that night.
I was painting at night, a trick that I have at plein air events, because let's clarify, going plein air is painting on location and not from photos. But at a plein air event, you sign a contract that says, I will not work from any photos. So I can't take a photo and have it next to me on the easel to remember the moment. So a trick that I do when I work at plein air competitions is I will set up at this time of day where I could see all of the shapes. I know what's there, and I work into twilight. And then when, hopefully I get the painting done. But if I don't, then I'll also work into dawn because I like more light when I create. I don't do well with, painting at midnight with my night light. I don't feel safe necessarily. My focus is broken, and that doesn't work well for me. But I do like painting into twilight and painting out of twilight to create my night scenes, and also working from memory.
Nice. Wow.
So this was another one I took a lot of liberty with because I thought, who wants the road? Just this literal thing. The more I create as a painter, the more I feel free to kind of create my own world. And even though light and shadow on the mountain can be wonderful, and I had done a daytime scene of the photograph, I had really wanted to try something tonal because this is something that I'm working on is, can I use a limited palette? Could I capture? I had seen this earlier in the day. And then I thought it would be cool to try out the lighting that I had seen, which was very fleeting. The fog lifted. You can't quite tell it in the painting, but the top clouds there are lemon yellow, which I don't usually use, but the whole painting is based on lemon yellow and purple with mostly neutrals. And so that was a hook for me to overcome my limitation, which is, hey, I know that I could be a lot better with composition and value. And so I liked the composition of this photo, and I thought I'll try that value. And I was excited about it because I had those complementary colors. So it's a way, remember I talked about the hard work and then just do the work and then also the fun. So I have to find a way to make the project fun.
Yeah. Well,
So this
you
became
did.
fun. Thanks.
Okay, well, that's great. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, Christine. We might have a couple more of those, and I want to get to question and answer for people with you.
Mhm.
And we've got a couple of big prizes to give away, including a plein air convention and a plein air live. But I'm going to take you off camera
Ooh.
for a minute and tell people about something else, and then we'll be right back. Okay? Sound like a
Okay.
plan?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right. I hope you guys have found this helpful. I want to be really, really transparent with you right now. I'm going to offer something to you and hope that you'll buy it. All right. That way, I'm not trying to deceive you. It might be perfect for you. It might not be for you. There's no pressure to buy it, but I want you to know about it anyway. There are hundreds who already have, and you could benefit greatly. Something that I get more questions about than probably almost anything else is every year, artists from all over the world tell me the same things. They wish they could travel to paint alongside the best plein air painters on earth, watch how they see how they mix, how they simplify a scene into 20 minutes, how they do things like what Christine just did there, where you take a drab scene and turn it into something remarkable, and where you pull out the artistic parts of your soul that are really making the difference in your painting. But, between flights and hotels and time away from family, it's not always realistic for people to come to things like the plein air convention or my retreats and things like that. And that's why we built Plein Air Live. Instead of you traveling to the artist, we bring the artist to you. We've got 20 of the best plein air painters on earth for you, live from wherever you are in the world. Christine is going to be one of them. You've been learning from her. You're going to learn how she paints. She's going to teach. She's one of our faculty members this year. The event is in September, the 16th through the 18th. We wanted to wait till school was back in and all that stuff for people who have kids. And it's September 16th through 2026. And it's nearly 3 full days, nearly 30 hours of demonstrations and instruction, live Q&As with the artist after every demo. Sometimes they're live during the demo. Optional Essential Techniques Day on the 15th for anybody who wants to shore up their fundamentals before the event. So here's what's included. We have Essential Techniques Day, Tuesday, September 15th. We have the 3-day main event, the 16th through the 18th. We have demonstrations from 17 different world-class artists, nearly 30 hours of content, live Q&A with artists, so you can ask your questions, which is you can also watch on replay, but if you're live, you can ask the questions in real time. Pre-event materials seminars, so you know how to use certain materials. We have a cocktail hour paint-along, which is where we get to know everybody. We also have these optional breakout rooms for smaller group discussions, a virtual vendor hall stocked with art supplies and deals. And this year's faculty is pretty impressive. First off, we have Mark Anderson. Mark is remarkable. Next, I want to tell you about this guy, Ma, Professor Ma. Professor Ma is the top artist in Beijing, the top representational artist in Beijing. He is one of the most sought after artists in the world. And when I was in China last year, I met him. He did my portrait. I was blown away by his work. And I begged him to please do plein air live this year. And he said, well, I don't do that. I said, well, you can do it all online. We can, record it, shoot it, whatever. He says, I don't know how to do it. I said, we'll set it all up. We'll figure it out. The world has never seen you paint. You got to come and paint. So he agreed to it. So that alone is going to be worth it. We also have Steve Browning, Julia Davis, Doug Dawson, Nick Fisher, Richard Giego, Daniel Gerhartz. We all know Daniel, Alex Gordillo, Christine Lashley, Farley Lewis. Farley had a painting at the Plein Air Convention, which was one of the best paintings I've ever seen in my life. His values were spot on. We have Myra Moe, Christina Pizzano, and Christina paints really small, Jeremy Sams, Barbara Tapp, and Ludmilla Tomova Clark. And we have 3 ticket options for you. Plus we have the main event and 3 ticket options for Essential Techniques Day and the whole event. The only difference is how much replay access you get for the different options, whether you get one or, get one of our overstuffed swag bags. There are only 25 left, by the way. So we have gold, which is 3 days of plein air live, 30 days of replay access, which is new. Our platinum, we have 3 days of plein air live and 60 days of access. And we have our diamond, which is 365 days of access after the event. Plus, before the event, you receive an overstuffed swag bag, which, by the way, you have to sign up today to be able to get that. Now, regularly, these events are these prices, $1,100, $1,300, and $1,900. And by the way, they're worth every bit because you would pay at least that, if not more, for a really great workshop and a sampler of 20 great artists. But today we have a special price for you. And so today, a special attendee only price. You are attending this. We're going to give you the gold for $397. We're going to give you the platinum, which is our most popular, for $447, and a diamond for $1,097. And we're doing something this year we haven't done. Essential Techniques Day by itself is $197. We're throwing it in. So if you buy gold, you get Essential Techniques Day plus the 30 days of replay, and up the platinum and the diamond. So it's all pretty spectacular. So we also have these bonuses if you sign up in the next 1 hour. So let me show you what these bonuses are. First off, Carl Bretsky's, we're giving you, by the way, we don't sell these. They're not on our PaintTube TV. They're just in our vault. This is Carl Bretsky, who did a Plein Air Live 2023 demo on nocturne painting. And we're going to give that to you because everybody wants to learn nocturne. Natasha Eisenhower, a pastel demo from Plein Air Live 24. Next, we have John Budison, the great John Budison, who did this incredible oil demo that blew everybody away. He did that at Plein Air Live in 24. We have Tiffany Bang is going to do a gouache demo. That's going to be worthwhile. We're giving you a lot of variety so you can get out of your rut and use some different approaches. We have a Jill Carver's demo from the Plein Air Convention, also not available anywhere. and that's good. And then we have Amit Kapoor from India doing a watercolor demo. So this is spectacular. And Kevin Scarborough, who's did a gouache demo at the PACE convention in 2024. And then Ann Blair Brown doing an acrylic demo from PACE 2024. So it's a total bonus value of $1,176, and it is worth every penny. We really want to try to get you there. There's also no risk. You get a money back guarantee, 100% money back guarantee. And that is if you love it, you watch it and you love it. If you don't love it, money back guarantee. So if you watch the first full day of Plein Air Live and you don't love it, you let us know by the end of the day, send our crew an email, and we will refund all of your money, including the money which would have been for the first day. We want you to love it, and we believe it's something you will love. We've got all the standard payment options because we want to make it easy for you to do this. And then that's Plein Air Live. That's September 16th through 18th, 2026. And if you can't attend on those dates, just know that there are replays available. Tracy Hartman said this: Plein Air Live is the most informative event I've ever experienced in many years of plein air painting. Also, we have Wendy Alm. Wendy is she's in Santa Fe. She said, I'm so inspired and refreshed. Plein Air Live has reminded me to be brave, continue to learn, and to challenge myself. It's offered so many facets of awesomeness, a send of community, great demos, classes on the fundamentals, and group paintouts. I will definitely sign up again. And then we have Plein Air Live has been so inspiring and taught me so much in 4 days. To go all over the world with professionals and to hear their techniques is such an opportunity not available before. I hope you do continue this in the future. This is quite an outreach to artists around the world. Okay, well, by the way, we always bring people in from other countries because we want you to experience people you might not know that are big in other countries. So we're really honored that you guys are taking this in and considering it, and we're glad that you're here today. What we want you to do is to sign up for this. Now, here's the deal. We're giving you till midnight tonight to sign up for Plein Air Live at this special price. But if you sign up in the next 1 hour, and I'm going to start the clock when our talk with Christine is over, we're going to give you 1 hour to sign up, and you will not regret it. It is a money-back guarantee. You're going to learn about plein air painting if you're new to it. You're going to get better at plein air painting if you're doing it now. If you're a landscape artist and you've never done plein air painting, this is going to open your eyes into how to do it. You're going to learn a lot about all the setups and gear and everything else that's involved. And you don't have to take a risk and go outside on your own. You can just watch this and see if you like it, and then see if you get inspired. And I think it'll be great for you. So we'll do a final Q&A in a few minutes, but I'm just going to take 2 minutes, put a little soft music on, and give you a chance. There is a link right there. Please do not share this link. This is only for people who are on this event today. Don't share this link. If you want to buy a seat for somebody else, you can do that, but do not take it outside. It's pleinairlive.com/offer. So we'll just take a little music right now, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. But this already has 100 people already signed up, and we very well will have a couple thousand signed up, as we always do. And you're going to get a chance to meet other artists and communicate with other people. It's going to be a great opportunity to learn, ask questions, and I think you'll really love it. So we'll be back with Christine in just 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to come back. Thank you guys for who signed up. You will have 1 hour to get these special bonuses from the time I end with Christine. We'll start a timer then. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring Christine back. We're going to ask some questions. Carrie has been gathering questions. And so Christine, come on back. Christine, do you have any thoughts about Plein Air Live? Because you've attended it before, you've taught on it. Any thoughts?
Oh, yeah. This goes right with what we were talking about, which is expand your repertoire, try a different medium. I like to learn different techniques on that too. I mean, the instructors are all watching the demos and it's fun. And what I like is that, let's talk about online teaching. Some people say, oh, online isn't for me. I'd rather save my money and attend in person. Like you said, Eric, it's a fraction of the cost. And I'm a big fan of online teaching because you kind of cut to the chase. You have that idea for replay. And so students can paint along at home. And then, you can chat with somebody across the world about like the painting that you did. And you have those like challenges to paint in the evening. And it's a great program you guys put on. I'm excited to
Thank
be
you.
part of it.
We're honored to have you. Okay, Carrie should have some questions for you. Carrie?
Yes, I do. Let's see. So, first question is it better to paint or create from your mind and imagination or use reference photos? What's the difference between doing that and painting from life? Like, what? Just talk about how you approach that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love that. Even the way the question is asked, there's a point of curiosity with, can I mix and match? Is one better than the other? So that's great to already be thinking about that. I would say plein air and just being stimulated by nature is number one. And number two is try to extend your memory for as long as you can. So the people who are outside doing plein air, let's imagine like a day at the beach. And the person who takes like a million videos and photos and then thinks I'll paint that later is not getting the same experience as the person who tries to do, let's say, humble studies at the beach. Maybe they didn't work out. But if you're present and focused on what you're painting, then what you could do is extend your memory to go back into the studio and work on that. And then I would work on photos. So photos are last on my roster of stimulation and what's good to be a creative.
That's great advice. Okay, so what do you do? And Eric, you can answer this one too. What do you do with all the paintings that don't sell? Do you just have a storage space filled with paintings?
Um, well, I do
Or does
have some
everything
that
just
don't
sell for
sell.
you?
Well, I was trying to avoid answering that because, it might not be a popular thing to say, but, I there's commercial success and then paintings I believe in. Maybe what I'll do is tell you a story about early on when I had a painting that I really, the painting didn't sell, newsflash. This is a painting that's 15 years old now, maybe 20. Anyway, I entered it in my first, like a contest. I was like super excited to get into this contest and it got rejected. And I thought, well, I really like this painting and nobody bought it. And then I entered it the next month in this competition and it won first prize, but it still didn't sell. And then I decided to keep it in my home and I really love it. And I'm glad that I kept that painting. It's 15, 20 years old now, but it was like that chapter of my life. So probably that's not the advice the person was looking for that asked the question. I mean, if I do have pieces that don't sell, I try to make the bridge between I am a visual communicator and what am I trying to communicate with my audience versus do I want to just create paintings that I know will sell? So there is room in my repertoire of paintings and my body of work for very experimental paintings that I'm aware I'm pushing my edge. They might not sell. It's a different direction. And I'm okay with that. And I do throw out paintings. I do repaint paintings, but the majority of my work sells, which is how I can be an artist.
Oh, that's great. And I've heard of other artists who either scrape their canvas, they sand it down, start over. We've had someone on Art School Live who has, taken their canvas and then turned it a different direction and painted something completely different.
Mhm.
So there's lots that you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So next question is, what advice do you have for someone who is doing their very first local plein air invitational? Or
Oh,
someone who
yeah.
wants to get into doing those?
Yeah. Well, good for you. It's great. You will meet lots of friends, and artists are a friendly bunch. So in general, I was really apprehensive about like, what's this going to be like? Artists are very welcoming. So I would assure you about that. However, do be prepared that most artists go on their own path to create. It's kind of unusual that artists would paint in a group. So I kind of wish I knew that during my first events, because I was like, hey, want to paint together? And people are like, I'm painting here. So I would give that piece of advice. And then the other is for the quick draw. I have great advice for the quick draw. Quick draw is when you have 2 hours to make a painting. So usually during a week-long plein air event, you can set your own pace, and let's say, your painting takes 3 or 4 hours. I mean, that's fine. Let's say you need to retouch at the same location. That's fine too, but not at the quick draw. So my advice for the quick draw is to kind of scope the scene the day before when the weather conditions would be similar. So for example, if the quick draw is happening from 10 to noon, which is typical, try to pick like a walk around at 11. I would say you could take pictures just to kind of scope the scene and remember what your choice would be. And then, so not to paint from, just to clarify. So the day before. And then I would do some sketches maybe to see, maybe from memory, to see what your takeaway was. And that way you'll kind of know where to set up in the morning the next day, and you can be calm and knowing that you've selected a good spot for where you want to be. And then when you're doing the quick draw, I set my timer for 45 minutes and I work exclusively on my underpainting, toning, drawing, and sketching. And only at the 45-minute mark do I allow myself to go into color, which is really hard for me. But it's been a very good formula, and I've suggested that to students, and they've gone on to win first place. So we know it works.
So is that because you're looking to make sure your drawing and everything is accurate? That's the drawing and values are accurate before you lay in the color?
Yes, because if I go to color too quickly, I get into the push-pull, scrape and repaint, and that just doesn't work for a quick draw. I have to have things in a very linear fashion, and the quick draw is performance. That's quite simply what it is. You have to have, you hope you have a home run.
How do you feel about that? Does that set unrealistic expectations for the consumers who are there, believing that every great painting is done in less than 2 hours?
Well, I have strong opinions on that, because if you attend a conference or if you attend like a concert, you don't ask yourself of the singer, well, they sang the song in 10 minutes,
Or write a song in 10 minutes.
Yeah, or somebody perform improv or something. Like the plein air event is jazz, it's improv. You are watching a professional athlete with the brush perform. That's what you're doing. And it highlights who can paint and who can't. It's the real deal. It's pure plein air. Plus everybody's watching. No pressure.
Christine, I want to elaborate on something you said.
Oh my gosh, and judging. Yeah, Carrie, go ahead.
And judging. So you mentioned when you're doing these quick draws, you're spending in that 2 hours, you're spending an hour and 15 minutes preparing your surface before you even get to color. Does that replace your thumbnails? Is that
No.
is that the same thing?
To clarify, 45 minutes is what I set my timer for just the black and white toning drawing.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, I had it backwards.
Yeah, that's okay.
A lot of time. But is that the same thing as doing a thumbnail sketch?
Yes, I often will do a thumbnail sketch too. So, which is all that is classified as hard work for me because my whole brain is like, let's get to the color, let's get to the fun stuff. This is boring. This is
Right?
ugly. You're not really painting, you're just preparing. And my whole being just wants to jump into color. And so I have learned to school myself into that's actually what turns out. Did
It's really
that
good to
answer your
know because I'm
question?
definitely in the same vein. Yes, I'm definitely in the same vein where I
Okay.
just want to jump right into the fun part and I don't want to do the work beforehand. And it's the most important
Yeah.
part.
That's what
Yep.
I found also is that when I went to Florence Academy. The one thing that stimulated me, I was painting with some guys. I have people come over every week, and we have a model, and my paintings were just coming out horrible, and so I thought I got to figure this out. And what I realized once I went to Florence Academy is they spend most of the time on the architecture, the drawing, the architecture, and the values. And then once you get that stuff down, everything else just kind of breezes through. That's what it was for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's great. And I think there is definitely something to be said for that, especially for the quick draw. I've found how to use that. But Eric, I would have to counter with let's remember that all of this is personal choices.
Right.
And Florence Academy is widely respected, and there is nothing wrong with spending that amount of time on the preliminary drawing and accuracy. But I do a lot of large cityscape paintings, and we just saw that recent example. And I think if I got out the ruler and I had a lot of accuracy and I was being very rigid about the constraints, it would feel just absolutely stifling to me. So the bigger I go, the looser I become. And so in my studio, when I'm left to my own devices, I mean, a painting might go through like 10 different scrape and restates. It's different for the quick draw. But I did want to just interject because there's room for free form. And I talk about like cloud to reality and amoeba shapes and building that and coalescing that. And actually, my streamlined video where I talk about cityscapes, it is a little bit more free form and it's a lot less structure. I don't do well with structure and drawing and accuracy. I've tried repeatedly to take like anatomy classes and stuff, and I just learned that that for me is classified as hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's different approaches. That's right. I want to show
Yeah,
real
definitely.
quickly. You had we had a couple more examples of some of your paintings from the photo versus the actual painting. So tell us about
Yeah.
this one in Paris.
Yeah, so this one I wanted to be able to see down the street, and I was there and I saw this at different times of day. And this is a scrape and repaint painting where I had started it and it wasn't turning out. So I used the underpainting to just kind of as a loose interpretation. Part of this is from memory. You could see I even changed the name de Magot. And so I opened up that awning because the cafe, I think it was right behind me. So I often like splice together different reference. So this one I used multiple reference memory, but it was mostly based on this photograph, which is how I started the painting.
Cool. And tell us about this one.
Well, this is more literal, and this is probably as close as I ever get to copying the photo. And what a dynamic scene. But I learned that being there and experiencing this is really key. That this location taught me that Mother Nature really does have most of the answers if you're paying attention, because I specifically booked a Jeep tour because I was too scared to drive the really rugged road in my car. So the family hired a professional driver. They were visiting me. I was doing plein air Telluride. And so we hired this driver to take us up to this alpine lake. And it was a little bit cloudy, and the kids wanted to go look for like fossils and stuff. And so they went down the road and they saw me, and I was like really bummed out that I didn't get last light on the alpine lake. And the kids are poking around in the dirt, and I'm just kind of looking off in the distance. And the family's like, well, Mom, do you want to go back up there and like check out the sunset? We're going to stay here with Dad. And I was like, yeah, I really do. So I got like this whole series of, it just was this full body, like joy of being there. It only lasted about 10 minutes. And yeah, so it was a special moment. There's room for that and creativity as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Okay,
Yeah.
well, do we have any last questions, Carrie?
Two.
Yeah.
And you can kind of answer it at one, but it goes together. What medium do you use to mix with your oil paints? And number two, what kind of a limited palette do you typically paint with? Ultramarine blue, or
Okay.
they're looking for specific colors?
Yeah, I have a website, and you can definitely find my full supplies on my website. Sometimes it changes. I have favorite colors, which I don't use a limited palette. I use what's called a split primary. So of the blues, I usually have two blues, cobalt, ultramarine. Sometimes cerulean shows up. Sometimes even phthalo blue shows up. But those are like guest colors. And for example, with the yellow, a split primary would be a warmer or true yellow, which is cad yellow, and then a cooler yellow, which is cad lemon yellow or cad yellow light. And then there's other colors there. And I've selected all of my colors because mostly I try to paint toxic free. Cadmium would be the exception, but I still paint without gloves, and I do paint solvent free. So I do not use any medium whatsoever with my paints. In the past, I used a bit of Gamblin solvent-free gel, but mostly now I just paint directly with my paint. Oil paint is formulated to be ready to go right out of the tube. So people are super interested in the fact, they're like, well, wait, oil, well, wait, how do you clean your brushes? Don't usually clean my brushes. I use my brushes as like hairy palette knives. They're shoveling on paint, and then I'll scrape it off and repaint it. And it does a couple of things. It forces me to use more paint, which is good because I like the look of that. And then I have to know my value in the beginning. So I can't be like, oh, I think this is the right green. I kind of have to know my green. I have to know what is light, know what is dark. So that would be the colors I use and why. And the only other thing to add to that would be I do like to work with water mixable oils. If anybody looks at my Instagram or my online catalog of paintings, you'll see some drips and splashes and the underpainting stages. And on Instagram, I have some time-lapse videos, so that's fun to see. But people are like, are you spraying solvent there? And absolutely not. That would be so horrible. You do not do that. So with the water mixable, I'm careful to use the non-toxic paints, and I use that only as an underpainting.
And then you put the regular oil paint over it.
Yes. And you can intermix those. The only thing is you have to be just very mindful of letting the water evaporate and not trapping the water in the layers.
Interesting.
And so you just make sure things dry. But I've been solvent free for probably like 8 to 10 years now.
You're ahead of the pack.
Yeah, it's a good life.
Well, and it will continue to be because you're not playing with dangerous chemicals.
Yeah, it was serious. I had a lot of like chemical sensitivity show up. All types of stuff.
Yeah, me too. Any other questions, Carrie?
That's it.
Okay. Well,
Great.
Christine, thank you so much for enlightening us today and for giving us a lot of inspiration how to get out of these ruts. It was really valuable, really valuable.
Thanks, Eric. Well, it was
All
a
right.
really enjoyable conversation and glad to share. And I hope to see everybody again at Plein Air Live.
Awesome. Well, I want to mention that Christine's got 2 videos with painttube.tv. One is, maybe we can pull those up. I don't know if we have them on the screen or not. One is called Paintings That Sparkle. And then the other one is called Vibrant Landscapes. Well, talk about capturing that afternoon light. There's a really great example of how to do that. Both are available on instant streaming or DVD at painttube.tv. So thank you, Christine, and we will see you at Plein Air Live coming up in
Look forward to
August.
it.
Yeah, and we're not in August yet,
Thanks,
but we're
Eric.
almost in August. It's hard to believe. Thank you.
All right,
All
Eric.
right.
Thanks
Well,
so much.
this has been very valuable. I think it's been very helpful to listen to her and to have what she offered. I hope it's been helpful for you. I just want to mention that we would love for you to attend Plein Air Live online. It's easy. It's about as easy as watching this, and so you could sign up. Just go to pleinairlive.com/offer. That's a special link just for you because you watched this event with Christine today. You're getting a special price. We're throwing in Essentials Day, which is normally $197, and we're dropping the price so that you can come. There's 3 levels, and so if you have the ability, probably the most popular is the middle level because you get a little bit more replay. The top level, you get a year of replay and you get some cool stuff. We've got some great new swag coming up for that, changing it up a little bit. So that'll be fun. So, and because of the bonuses, if I could pull up that bonus slide one more time, as a matter of fact, if we could just pull up the slide that shows the price, the special price, that would be great. And if we pull that up real quickly, we've gone through the faculty. You've got a great faculty. So let's show that real quickly. The gold, we're giving you Essential Techniques Day for free, and it's only $397 with 30 days of access. And it used to be a lot less than that. Actually, no replay. The Platinum, which is our most popular, 3 days of Plein Air Live, 60 days of access for $447.
It's actually a typo. That's supposed to be 6 months. That just changed recently.
6 months?
Yes, it's 6
Oh,
months,
wow.
not 60 days.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's even better. 6 months for not much more money, so $50 more. And then there's Essential Techniques Day and the Diamond for 3 days. Plus you get the a year and a swag bag. So 6 months. That's great. Okay. And then next, if we'll just show real quickly, we'll show the bonuses real quickly. I'll just go through those bonuses. So they will expire in 1 hour from when we end this broadcast. So total bonuses, if we can go back and go through them individually one by one, that would be really terrific. We have Ann Blair Brown. We have Kevin Scarborough. We have Amit Kapoor from India. We have Jill Carver. These are things that, by the way, are not available for sale. Tiffany Mang, John Budison, the great John Budison, Natasha Eisenhower, and Carl Bretsky. And you're getting a lot of different lessons, a lot of different mediums. And again, those are not available for purchase. And that's the bonuses if you sign up in the next 1 hour. So as soon as we end this, that 1 hour begins. You have until midnight tonight Pacific time to be able to get the special pricing. But if you want those bonuses, the next 1 hour from now. I want to thank Christine Lashley. I also want to thank my team, Carrie Stober, your rock star, our producer, Amandine, and our entire tech crew. There's a whole bunch of people.
Eric, are you forgetting something?
What did I forget?
You did this last time too. You're forgetting the giveaways.
I did. I forgot the giveaways. Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you're right. Well, I was just so anxious to go get some lunch. Okay, so we have, what do we have to give away?
Well, we are going to upgrade a couple people that have already purchased Plein Air Live. So we're going to upgrade someone who purchased a general ticket to a premier ticket, or I guess it's platinum now.
Somebody who purchased today?
Yep, they purchased today, and then we have someone that we're going to upgrade to the diamond level. So, congratulations to Ann Pfeiffer Reyes of Lufkin, Texas. You have been upgraded to a platinum ticket. You're going to get 6 months of replay access. Congratulations. And David Mulvena of Crescent City, Florida, you have been upgraded to diamond. So, congratulations. Send us an email, winner at Streamline Publishing, and we're going to get you upgraded for Plein Air Live. And we also have, Eric, Christine's video, Painting That Sparkle, that we want to give away. This is best-selling video. Such an amazing, it's so gorgeous. I love this, love this, love this. And the person who is going to get this, let me pull up our chat here, is Juliet Kiernan.
That Christine graciously gave me that painting. It's hanging on our wall in our living room. I get to look at it every day.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Laurel Kernigan. I already forgot her name. It's you are going to get that video. So send me an email, winner at streamlinepublishing.com. And Eric, for our final giveaway,
I thought we had
talk about pace.
I thought we had two more. We have a Plein Air Live
Plein
ticket.
Air, that wasn't in here, but we can do it for sure.
Okay, let's do
it. It was Juliet Kernigan. You get Christine's video.
Okay, let's do a Plein Air Live ticket. So go into the chat and say, pick me, and Carrie will grab somebody.
It takes a second for it to come through. Let's see. Now they're coming in fast. Come on. It's almost there. It's going to be Cheryl Taylor. Cheryl Taylor, you are going to Plein Air Live. Congratulations.
All right. Now we have, we're doing the big Plein Air convention. If you don't know about the Plein Air convention, it is a huge event. It gets, it depends on the year, but the largest year has been about 1,200 people. Doesn't feel that big because we have 5 stages, and so it's intimate. And this year we're doing it in St. George, Utah. So we'll be going to Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, and we're going to be able to stand right where that girl is standing and paint right there. I mean, right on the rim of Bryce Canyon. They've been very generous with us. Zion, actually, your better painting is outside of Zion, because otherwise you got these 600-foot walls where, you know, when you're outside, you can kind of see it a little better. So we've got places set up outside of Zion that you're going to be able to paint, and special permissions and all that nonsense. So that's great. So we'll give away, by the way, 2 hotels are already sold out. We think this is probably going to be our most popular yet. May 17th through 21. So let's give away a ticket right now. You have to put the word PACE for Plein Air Convention Expo, PACE, and put that in the chat right now. And we'll grab somebody. I'll tell you what, Carrie, I'm going to grab one from my chat view, and you're going to grab one for your chat view. So we're going to give away 2 tickets.
Okay. Well, now I gotta, it's coming in fast for me.
All right. I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Tammy Stahl, 52545. Tammy Stahl, 5245. So Tammy Stahl, you're going to have to send us an email. And what's the email, Carrie?
It's winner at streamlinepublishing.com.
Okay. And then
I did, and it's Mark Zappetta. Mark Zappetta, you are getting a ticket to Plein Air Convention.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome.
We need like balloons and stuff to go off.
Oh, well, okay. Next time. We've done some balloons going off at pace. We've done all kinds of crazy things. All right. Anything else, Carrie? Have I forgotten anything else?
That is everything. That is it.
All right. Well, listen, you guys, if you want to learn more about Plein Air painting, we would love for you to follow us at Plein Air Magazine online, on Instagram and other places, Plein Air Mag. Or if you get the magazine itself, go to pleinairmagazine.com to get it. That would be a good thing. And also, we're going to end this by starting the clock of 1 hour from now. So you can still sign up and get those bonuses within 1 hour. and you have until midnight to get the special prices. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay the full prices and not get the thrown in Essentials Day. So they're getting an extra day for free plus a deep discount. And then in the next 1 hour, those special bonuses. Again, I want to thank everybody on my team. I want to thank Christine. She's a rock star. She is such a good painter, isn't she? Oh, man, just makes me tingle when I look at her paintings, and they're just so spectacular. And I want to thank her for inspiring us today. And I want to thank you guys for being here and being a part of it. You know, we hope that you'll join. If you're not part of our family, we hope that you'll join us. We do all kinds of things, as we talked about at the beginning of this. We do artist retreats, we do conventions, we do online events, we do videos, we do so much, and we have more that we're going to be announcing. And so we'd hope that you'll become part of our family. And we will send out an email that has the replays on this in case you want to watch it again. And again, you have till midnight tonight to get these special deals, or 1 hour from right now. Thank you. God bless. Have a really terrific night. And thank you for giving us your time. Thanks again to Christine Lashley.